So yes, people, welcome back to another episode of the Ghostoul Podcast. Each week I interview the very best in the paranormal, and this week is no exception. Today's guest is somebody that is changing the way we investigate. We have Mark from Dead Cold Paranormal.
Wow, what an introduction. Changing the way we investigate.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Buttering him up.
Am I a pioneer?
You are, mate. You. I'll tell you later.
Oh, fantastic.
So how you been? How are you, sir? How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, Mickey. Damn nice to meet you. It really is. As I've said before, I used to watch you years ago on UK Haunted, and before I even started doing all this kind of stuff, and it was obviously partly your guys, Ouija Brothers, and a few others that kind of like inspired me to actually do my own thing, really. So, yeah, grand stuff.
Wow. So, see, I never knew that until a couple of weeks ago when we had a little chat on Facebook, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I've been watching your stuff for a long time. I did not know that I inspire anybody, let alone yourself. Crazy.
That's cool, it's good. Just on the water tonight.
Oh, that's all right. I'm on the coffee from work.
I'm glad to see you changed your room around there. Is it the same room you were in before when you had all the lights in the ceiling and what have you?
Oh, that was in my old house. Yeah,
all right,
yeah. Fine. I had a cloud ceiling. That was
yes, that was unbelievable. That
was like a party. Yeah, this is not my house, so I can't really do on this one. But who knows in the future? I did quite like that. So, Mark, for those of the people listening and watching who don't know who you are, if you could just give us a little rundown of what you do and who you are, really.
Well, my name is Mark. I run a YouTube channel called Dead Cold, formerly Dead Cold Paranormal, but I just use Dead Cold there now because I kind of starting to slightly branch away from total paranormal investigations. It's not I'm not saying I won't do them again, because I will. But anyway, that's not where we're actually going to start at, is it? Because we need to start at the beginning, and end at the end. So years ago, as I say, I used to watch yourself, used to watch the Ouija Brothers, and it all kind of started. A few people that watch my stuff will have probably heard the story before, but all started really when I wanted to go to Nottingham. This was just before COVID kicked in, and we were going to go to the haunted museum and antiques place there. It used to be in the old cinema back then.
Yeah, it did. That's an awesome place.
Yeah. I never got to go to the cinema place. I've been to the new one. Actually, no, I haven't been to the new one. I've been to the transitional one. So they went to the Hopkins building.
There's been 3, hasn't there?
Yeah, there has. Yeah.
I've not been to the third one, the new one.
Yeah. So I've been to I saw you guys at the Hopkins building. That was the second one. I think I still remember seeing you on Facebook posting some pictures, because I knew I recognised the lady there. Anyway, so I started watching that kind of stuff, and a friend of mine from Nottingham said, "Oh, he says, you want to come up and we'll go and do the old haunted antiques place at the cinema," and then said, "Yeah, I kind of put it off, and I think, all right, okay then, yeah, we'll do, yeah." Did actually watch a Ouija Brothers film from there, and I thought, oh wow, right, we've got to go and do with them, and that was probably the first Ouija Brothers video I ever watched from that place. That was way back when, and yeah, just and then COVID kicked in, and everywhere closed down, didn't it? So
yeah, it wasn't good times.
It wasn't good times at all. No. Let's hope we never get to repeat that thing. But yeah, so I just decided, well, I'm going to start doing it for myself, and so I started researching like local areas. And the first one I was going to do, and I still haven't done it, is and I've done a podcast story on it. Is the old church at Ellsborough kind of just over the Hertfordshire Buckinghamshire border into Buckinghamshire. It's a lovely old church, and it's got a story there as well about a ghost story that like a shadowy figure has been seen on a few occasions going up the path, kind of thing. So and it's that what kind of like inspired me really to actually start doing this the way I do things. So I love the folklore tales, I love the ghost stories, and I wanted to go and see these places to see if there's any kind of like reality in it. As I've discovered many years later, there's not really that much reality in it. But you still love the folk stories. I love them. I absolutely love them. And so it's just gone on from there. I didn't actually do that in the first video. I went to a Cold Christmas church and filmed it off my phone. We just went there during the day. Cold Christmas church, for those that don't know where it's at, it's like the northwest corner of Hertfordshire, near a place called Ware, Ware.
Where? Where is it?
Exactly. You could go on all night with that one.
You could, yeah. I've never actually been there. People have told me you got to go Cold Christmas. Amazing, very active, but I've never managed to get there.
I wouldn't say it's active. It's good. Well, I've never found it as active, to be fair. And I know Tony, who you might have seen in my pictures, and Diane as well. Who you know as well.
Diane,
Diane. She's been there many times. She caught a nice EVP there once, actually. She's got great EVPs. And there's a lady in the background. Nobody there at all. It was winter, and you hear somebody in the background. She got it enhanced a lot, and it mentions something about a train. It's bizarre. Anyway, read into that what you will. But it's So I just like to do the honest way of doing things. I'm not going to begrudge anybody that wants to entertain everybody with things jumping out left, right, and centre, things getting thrown around all over the place. If that's for them, then so be it. Let them get on with it. It's not for me though. It's not for me. I just like to go down the honest route all the time. What you see is what you get, and that's it, mate. It's just gone on from there, really. It's just gone on. I did a lot of the local places. I've started meeting other people, and obviously going there. You obviously know. I know the Parallel Activities guys. Yeah. Obviously, I know the Ouija brothers very well now as well, and that's just gone and linked on, and I've got to know a lot of other fantastic people within the paranormal world, and people that'll be friends for life as well. So, it's great, and the other branch that I'm actually doing within the paranormal world, if you want to call it that, is when I started doing my own. I first did a narration for the Ouija brothers when they first went to what was then called Haunted Hill, because they didn't really want to give the name away of the place, but it was a little place in Wales, in Snowdonia, called Nanai Hall. So I did a narration for them on their first time they ever went there, and people just said they liked my voice, the way I say things, and
hello.
That's just maybe if you watch Beto get scared, and everybody seems to just go crackers over my voice. I don't know why. Like, it's just me, for God's sakes. But I try to try to give it a little bit of atmosphere, but not too much. Not too much Tom Jones. It's probably a bit more spender, like Jimmy Nail.
Nothing wrong with Jimmy now.
All right. It's just I now do, like, I've done a few podcast stories as well, and I tend to do more of that as well. I tend to tell more stories. I'm hoping to actually get in there, and if Kate Sherrill is watching this, she's got a fantastic poltergeist story. Please send me that, Kate. You said you would.
Come on. I'm sure she's watching.
She's got a fantastic poltergeist story of her growing up as a young lady, a child and young lady at her house. She told it not at Parameet Midlands just gone, the one before, and I was getting goosebumps just going. Unbelievable story. Obviously true as well. What happened to her? Just, crack. And I said, I met her at the Parameet again. It was about a month or so ago, and she said to me, I said to her, do you mind if I just narrate your story that you told last year? She says, yeah. I'll get it over to you. Fantastic, I said. But she'll get it there when she gets there. But yeah, that's it, me. That's it, really, mate. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm taking a bit of a step back from investigations recently. I'm not doing as many. Not that I kind of lost the urge to go out and do these things. It's just I think I like to really pick and choose where I'm going to go. It has to have a good story about it.
A good background, rather than just, let's just go to this building. Why are we going there? Don't know. It looks creepy. Some people like the draw of a story or haunting to see if they can interact with, or see if they can capture maybe as a famous photo or a voice you can hear. Do you ever get overwhelmed with all the paranormal, making the videos?
Yeah, I do. I spend a lot of time. I mean, I'm not fantastic at editing. I think what I produce is actually is decent, but it just takes me a long time to get there, and I'm very much in and out of it. I really need to get into the zone to get myself in that. I've got to really have a weekend and to just do it. Sometimes the intro can take just as long as the actual main video. I mean, people seem to like my intros, but
that was very good.
So it's good though. I enjoy it. And I'm like, when I'm just starting off a big one, like I did with Woodchester Mansion, this most recent big one.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm just like this. I have to go through this again. I'm being honest. Like, oh God, no, I really have to go through all of this again. But then, once you get about halfway through it,
you get the little buzz. You think, this is good.
I can see a light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
You have to do your research,
Yep.
Make sure your clips are right. Yeah.
Yep, you do.
Yeah, it's a nightmare sometimes.
Oh,
but
God, it is, isn't
can
it?
I just say, that recent video of yours, I noticed something at the beginning. Now, your disclaimer.
Yep.
Brilliant. This is what I mean when I say you're changing the way that people investigate. We'll get to that in a bit. You don't mind me reading this out, do you?
Yeah.
It says, notice, there's a very strong chance this video will contain no paranormal activity whatsoever. All equipment used is purely experimental, and any bumps, taps, knocks and creaks highlighted in the video are my own interpretation of what happened on the investigation and could well be wrong. Enjoy. Now, I think that is so refreshing, and most people, they have warning signs. This is really scary, viewers' discretion and all that stuff. But for you to say this is just what I think it is, I may be wrong. Like, no one's right, no one's wrong in the paranormal.
Yep.
But I just think that's so. I saw that and I thought, wow, that's brilliant.
Thanks. It's something that a few other teams that I follow as well and I've worked with, like again, I know I keep on mentioning the Ouija brothers, but they are a massive inspiration of mine.
Yeah.
Two great blokes, Steve and Griff. I've never met Steve's brother yet, but no, I maybe will one day. Really inspirational gentlemen, and the both of them have helped me a lot through this. I mean, the majority of where I got my editing stuff from was from Steve as well. He helped me go through the editing process quite a few times. He must have got fed up of me asking questions after questions after questions. I'm surprised he never bloody barred me, kind of thing. But if you're watching, Steve, thanks very much, mate. Fantastic, really great blokes, and people like Ghost on Trent as well, that are very, very honest. Parallel activities. Who else? My mind's just gone blank. Three Spires Paranormal. Beto Gets Scared. And Staffordshire Paranormal Explorers. There's loads of others I watch as well. They're all of them are. We sure seem to sit in the same vein of being just honest. What you see is what you get.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really refreshing thing, to be fair, instead of watching all this. I'm not going to say Americanism stuff, but that's where mainly all came from. I always think it came from, like the Ghost Adventures and stuff like that. Shows that are there for entertainment, rather than honest paranormal. I mean, if you were going to do a paranormal show where you just showed the raw footage of paranormal from start to finish, you'd have about 6 to 8 hours of friggin' sod all, wouldn't you?
On multiple cameras.
Multiple cameras, yes. Yeah, so you could at least double that time.
Yeah, no one would watch it.
But no, it's that. Sorry, Mick, keep going.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you say, the Americanization. A lot of people that are new to the paranormal. I mean, I've been doing it since 2008. So I've been there quite a long time. I've seen people come and go. The way people come into the paranormal now, they watch these American YouTubers who do paranormal stuff, but they're YouTubers. They're not paranormal investigators that do YouTube. There's a difference. And I think people watch them. They turn up. They're here for about a year. They copy what they do. They buy all the gadgets, all the gizmos, spend a fortune, and then think, oh, you know, our views are going down. Why are our views going down? Because people now, they're realizing that, like you say, yourself, Ouija Brothers, Ghost on Trent, they're showing stuff that isn't the amazingly exciting. Wow, look at all these things flying around, you know, bangs, voices.
Yeah.
People are now realizing that, you know, I think there has been a turn within the paranormal YouTube culture and on social media. And like you say, you're part of the new trend, as it were, that's just being honest. I mean, I'm honest in my videos, but it's I think it's refreshing to see. And like, otherwise you'll get attacked by Beardo.
Well, that's it now. I'm friends with Beardo. He's just going to slaughter me if I do any tomfoolery.
Yeah. He'll be watching. Send me your footage.
I've sent Beardo a few things before because he's very good at like. I mean, there's other debunkers as well that I watch. So you've got Purple, you've got who doesn't really do debunking much anymore, but he used to do it a lot. And World of Mr. Grey, Kenny Biddle over in the States,
America,
Mythos Paranormal. He's a northern lad as well. Durham,
I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to get him on the show.
He's not as good as me.
Yeah, everybody is brilliant.
Just joking, mate. I'm going up to see me mum in September back up north. Yeah. So I'm going to try and see if I can meet up with Mythos because he has mentioned about when he started obviously hearing my voice, he was asking where I was from, and I think he's from actually County Durham as well. So which is where I'm originally from. So hopefully we might.
When you're up there, give him a nudge for me. Get on the show.
I was going to shout out to an American team that have been very inspiring to me as well, and that is Amy and Ryan from Amy and Ryan's Weird Adventures, and they used to be they've actually just gone back into their old name, Full Dark Paranormal. So I used to watch them as well during the early days, and they are a very honest couple of Americans, a couple. And now engaged as well. So,
that's good.
And I have actually met them. They came over here from the States to do a bit of a European tour, almost like a macabre tour around like various bits of Europe. So they went and did, London, Paris, did the catacombs down there and all that kind of stuff, and vlogged all the way through as well. So, and then when they came back to actually fly out from Heathrow. We met them up on their final night. So myself and Laurie and Jones, who you know from Howard Horns, we went down to London and met them. They had some dinner with them, a few drinks. We went down the east side of London, went to the 10 Bells, where the Jack the Ripper pub.
I bet that was good.
That was fantastic. Yeah, it was great. That was fantastic to meet them because they were absolutely fantastic couple. They really are. And hopefully, you never know, one day I might get over to the States and see them.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
So where would you go in America if you were meeting up with those guys and they said, "Oh, come on investigation"? Where would you want to go?
They're in Albany, state in New York.
Okay.
Not that makes any difference to me because my geography's terrible here. But no, they've been to some fantastic places like Waverly Hills, Indiana State Penitentiary is that's a fantastic one of their videos that I absolutely love, and I've watched it several times. Um, Ryan is a musician as well,
Okay.
and he goes in there with an amplifier and his guitar, and starts singing and playing the guitar to the spirits. I mean, if that isn't the best spirit box in the world, then I don't know what isn't.
That's brilliant. You might get him a bit active. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely fantastic to watch.
Yeah.
But no, he's. I'd love to do something like that. Again, you'd love to do like the bigger places like the Stanley Hotel. Although they say I've read something recently about the Stanley Hotel. They're saying that there is a certain element of the story to the Stanley Hotel that is true about a suicide kind of thing or something like that. But the majority of it is absolute hogwash.
I read that. Yeah, I've heard that recently as well.
Yeah.
That the stories aren't true and it's not even haunted.
Yeah,
It's like, wow.
it just shows you like how a place like a lot of places over the UK as well. So a lot of oldie worldy places. So that hang on to this folklore story that's been. It's like Chinese whisper, isn't it? It gets passed down through the years, and it gets elaborated, and the story gets bigger and bigger, and it probably gets very, very far away from where it actually was in the first place.
Yeah, from the original story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there any hauntings or locations or stories about ghostly sightings, hauntings that you think are fake, or that you think maybe I don't know if that one's real or not?
I tell you what, the biggest one I think is,
Yeah.
and I'll probably get shot down for this, but I don't really care. And that is the Black Monk of Pontefract.
Me too.
I do
Me
not
too.
believe- exactly. I do not. I know. I've talked to Diane about this as well, and Justin Cowell, who've done a lot of time there, and the Weed Brothers as well. But
Yeah.
I don't get the story, the whole well story as well, about him being chucked down a well. There's no evidence of a well there around there.
No, there isn't.
I've talked to when I did my video. I'm not plugging my stuff at all. I mean,
Why not?
You can take it or leave it. But when I looked at doing because I really wanted to go hard at the beginning for like the story that I wanted to put across about East Drive.
Yeah.
So I talked to Mike Cavell, who you might know.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
He's a
Yeah.
historian and paranormal investigator and a criminologist up in Hull.
Yeah, he likes werewolves.
Yep.
Yeah. He did the piece on the werewolves when there was a werewolf running around Hull. I remember a few years ago.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, that was 2016, I believe.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another fantastic story.
Yeah.
But so I even asked him about, because he went back in the local maps, going back in decades, and try to find this, because if it's a well of any kind of, if it's actually a proper well that people were drawing water from years and years ago, it'll have been marked on an old Ordnance Survey map.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. There's nothing there at all. Not anywhere near the. There are wells marked around like the whole of Pontefract on centuries gone by, but nowhere near East Drive and the whole vicinity of that estate. Nothing at all. I mean, that's just one. My theory is that obviously that it used to be a battlefield around there, and it is well documented in history that there was a battlefield. It was the battlefield because it's called the Chequerfield Estate, and there was a Battle of Chequerfield. So you could argue the fact, if you want to believe that, if when people die, if they die suddenly or in dramatic circumstances, if the spirit leaves them and doesn't go anywhere, just stays in its place, that a battlefield. If an estate was built on a battlefield, there could be many different sightings of various paranormal comings and goings around the entirety of the estate. And apparently there is, not just in that street or in that area. There's other areas of the estate as well which have been known to be active. So
I went back to East Drive last Halloween. I was there with Mark and Rich from West London Paranormal, and we were getting nothing really, and we were doing an Estes method with the spirit box, and we were getting a lot of information about the battlefield, about the battle, the war, weapons that were used. And during the daytime, before we went to the house, we went to Pontefract Castle. So we learnt a bit about the history of the battle and that was around there. Yep. And like you say, there was a battle, so that's more than likely why there could possibly be spirits there, rather than the story of the Black Monk.
There was also at the top of the estate, obviously where 30 East Drive is, and there's a roundabout just up further road and opposite. On the other side of that roundabout, there was also a hospital for infectious diseases.
Oh wow, didn't know that.
Yep.
Oh, so that could be lots of. Do they have patients there, or is it just like a drop-in? Do you know?
I don't. Isn't really. It's a bit sketchy, the history behind the whole thing. It's just known as the. It used to treat things like diphtheria, smallpox, tuberculosis, that kind of thing. So maybe there was like a lot of live-in patients there.
It's amazing what you can find that you don't know about, and especially in your local area, like it could be where you live, where I live, and it's just like wow. Like for example, the cemetery where my nan and granddad are buried, there's a woman in there called Violet Gibson. Never heard of her before, and she shot Mussolini.
Wow.
In Italy, she tried to assassinate him twice, and she missed. She hit him, but he didn't die. And the locals, because he was at some press rally sort of thing, and the locals tried to get her and obviously lynch her, but the police took her away, and she got sent back. She got sent back to Northampton, where I'm from, and where this cemetery is, and she ended up living her days out in the local old St Crispin's mental asylum, which is my favourite ever location, which is the outskirts of my town, and it's just like wow, I've never heard of that. It's like you don't know who's there, who's stories from your local area. No,
I mean there's again, I go back to one of my podcast stories during lockdown, when we really couldn't go anywhere at all. I did actually try to find some local stories, and I come across this one to do with the witch hunting. I live in a little town called Tring in Hertfordshire.
Oh, I know that.
So there's a story there of Ruth and I forget the husband's name. I think it's George Osborne, and they were the last. Is there anybody there?
Wow, that's weird. Someone just punched my door.
That's quite a. And isn't
Did you hear that?
I did hear it. Yeah. Is there anybody else in the house with you?
My mum and dad are downstairs.
Yeah.
But they're in the garden. I can hear them in the garden. That was just there.
Brilliant.
Okay, fair enough.
Fantastic.
Oh, dear.
Look at this. Paranormal activity live on stream. You heard it here first.
Can't make it up.
Mickey York's bedroom. Haunted as hell.
I got my haunted doll Janet just there, so
yes.
I don't know. Yeah, that evil. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt your story.
No, that's all right. So I found that with it was called it was apparently the last illegal witch hunt in the area. So it's a harrowing tale, to be fair. It really is, and it's again I plug my own stuff, but it's on my podcast, and I've done a video there as well. So as I couldn't really get in the car and drive anywhere, I walked to all these various areas where parts of the story are taken from.
Yeah.
And I even I looked because she was him and her husband were ducked, and the only pond that I could find was probably about 2-3 miles outside of Tring, And the story did say they were taken from Tring's workhouse of the church in Tring to 2 miles away to Marsden Mere Pond and ducked. Yeah, and then I went to the final crossroads where they hung the guy that ducked, because it was an illegal witch hunt, so he was tried and hung for it on a gibbet.
Oh, wow.
In a place called Gubblecourt Cross. Get that for a name.
What a great name.
It was fantastic, and it's like right out of Harry Potter, that one. Gubblecourt Cross. Fantastic stuff.
So you mentioned your podcast that you have. Is it called Dead Cold Tales, is that?
Dead Cold Tales, yes. So it's on Spotify as well, and various podcast station platforms.
So what does that entail? Is it only paranormal stories, or is it like you probably mentioned, folklore stories?
Yeah, it's mainly paranormal and folklore stories, to be fair. One of the best ones that probably has been probably the most successful one really is the legend of Spring-Heeled Jack, which started off at London. Did quite a bit of research for that one. But yeah, fantastic story, I must say. And again, folklore tales, the way they spread around the country. Obviously, it all started off in London, kind of thing, in centuries ago. I can't remember the dates, to be fair, even though I mentioned the dates in the stories. But yeah, and then it went out towards kind of like a Kentish kind of area, and then up towards East Anglia, and then it even went as far as, like, I think it was up in Scotland, Liverpool. It's the same kind. Apparently, the same guy, this Spring-Heeled Jack.
Yeah.
He was apparently had a devilish kind of looking persona, very pale, clammy skin, used to breathe blue fire from his mouth. That's just, this guy is unbelievable. He's like an old time superhero or supervillain. He never actually killed anyone, though. He just used to shock them, and I think in truth he was probably like a mugger or possibly even a rapist kind of thing back in the day. But he never was. It seemed to me that he was never actually any good at his so-called trade.
So where'd you get your stories from?
Like
the tales. Where'd you get them from?
I get them from the internet, to be fair. And I've talked to a friend, Lindsay Sivida, who's a crime historian, and I'm in with the Ghost Club as well. So there's a lot of folk story folks there as well. A lot of legend folklore and tale telling people there as well. So I get like little pointers from them every now and again. But yeah, I just recently rejoined the Ghost Club. Actually, I had a bit of a. I didn't actually renew my membership, which came up in February, and I didn't bother renewing it. I know. No, there's nothing to do with them at all. I was going through that phase where I just could not be bothered with the paranormal whatsoever, and I'm thinking I've had enough. Yeah. But yeah, so no, it's all good though. But there's lots of like people there that spin a good yarn. Mark Edgent as well, who's a member of the Ghost Club, who got us into Hinchinbrook House, because that's actually a school.
I know. I went there 2 years ago for the first time. I've only been there once, and
unbelievable.
It's so beautiful. The library, wow.
Oh, it's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's amazing.
You can smell the history in there.
You can. You open them big, massive double doors. It's like It's like, wow. It's like on the films. Like these old mansion houses with all the library, and all the books are still there. It's like crazy.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, Mark used to be a pupil there as well back in the 70s, I think it was.
Yeah.
He's a historian as well, and a paranormal enthusiast. And he does tours around there. And he lives in Huntingdonshire as well, so which is a beautiful town, absolutely beautiful old historical town. I mean, the UK is full of them, isn't it? These beautiful historical towns everywhere.
Oh yeah, there's so much history in all the towns, the villages. Some of the places that we have, some of our buildings are like older than America.
Yeah,
and I think that's why a lot of Americans love the paranormal from the UK. The stories, the history, the locations, like the castles. It's definitely a draw for them over the pond.
Oh, 100%. I remember when Amy and Ryan came over and they went to the tower. They went to the Tower of London and filmed themselves there at the Tower of London. Ryan was like hugging the walls.
I'm here.
So excited to be like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah, but I reckon I'd be like that in America as well, though.
Yeah.
The locations, somewhere that you don't get to go to all the time.
Definitely.
It's just like, oh my God, wow,
Yeah.
But I think, it's so many great places.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think we should be proud in the UK for the locations that we have.
Definitely,
because of the history, the tales, the kings and queens. Cromwell has been to every location in half the country.
He seems to be, doesn't he? I think between him and Henry VIII, they get mentioned, and a lot of the places I've been to, they seem to have a mention.
Yeah.
Of either the Cromwell family or the Henry VIII devolution of the monasteries.
Yeah.
It always seems to get a mention. I think the English Civil War gets a lot of mentions everywhere in the UK history books. And it was a big influence on how it changed the whole landscape of the UK. Really, fantastic.
Yeah, there's a local pub near me, and I drive past it on the way to work. And it used to be the morgue for Cromwell's fallen soldiers at the Battle of Naseby.
Yeah,
and it's just like it's great. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but apparently he was there. Yeah, It's just like wow, and it's also in the centre of Northampton. There's like on one of the side streets in the main town centre. It's like a red stain on the pavement that's always in there, and you can't get rid of it. They say that's where Cromwell was like injured, or that's Cromwell's blood. And I learned that when I was little at school. We did a trip throughout Northampton. And it's just like, I've always remembered that, and I thought that ain't true. That can't be true. It's probably some ketchup from a kebab or something.
Somebody's had a bad night out and chucked the kebab on the ground.
Exactly.
Eats it down face first. But it's stories like that make these little make these towns and villages, something to be read about. I mean, there's on the way from where I live in Tring down towards where are we at? Hemel Hempstead on the A41. As you're going down towards Hemel, in a field just before you get to Hemel, there's surrounded by cows and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's normally like black and white cows in there, and there's like a little post. It's about it sticks out of the grass by about 2 or 3 foot, and there's actually a folklore tale about that post. It's got its own little fence around it, and apparently, if you go there at a certain time of the year, run around it 3 times, saying somebody's name, and the name escapes me. It really does. Then this person will appear. But that's there in a field, and it's just been there forever and a day.
But they're the best. They're the best stories, though.
Yeah.
That's...
And it's that kind of thing that I really love. And it's the folklore and the legend about these places that really piques my interest. Now, probably piques it more now than it did when I first started. Even though I did like the stories, and the story was the draw to go to these places. But now I've been in. I haven't been there. I'm not like a massive expert on. I don't believe anybody's real expert on in paranormal on something that's so. I don't know, not in touch with reality, so to say. You can never say that anybody's an expert. Some people obviously may be more knowledgeable than others on certain places.
Yeah.
But it's such a wide topic of conversation.
It branches across all aspects of the strange, doesn't it?
It does. It definitely does. But so there was one. I think it was one of the first places I ever went to was the House That Cries in Wolverhampton. Have you been there?
No. Is that one with the paintings?
No. Apparently the the house has been, because it's Wolverhampton's oldest house, and it used to have a moat around it at one point.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a housing estate around it there now. So, but I never really expected anything. I obviously went there with John and Neil and a few others from Para Activities and a few other guys and gals. So we all met in the pub first. We went up. So we got told where it was. So you're driving up this main road, and you've just got 30s style, 50s style terraced houses going up this road, just like a standard old, typical British 2 up, 2 down terraced houses, just constantly lining the road. You get to this this junction, and you go up, and again it's just these houses are still up there, and then you get to a cul-de-sac at the end, and there's a road goes that way to another house, and then there's a road goes that way, and you're looking at some massive black gates. Just says Graiseley Old Hall.
Oh yeah, I meant to have been there recently, but I haven't managed to get there yet.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it's a wonderful old place, and the beams that are inside of it meant to have been actually made from a ship. And again, it's one of those places where apparently they can't explain where water comes from every now and again. I'm thinking, well, it's probably like a busted radiator, but there's the unexplainable pools of water appear through the beams, and they say it actually comes through the beams itself and not through the ceiling. Hence why it's called the House That Cries. And the BBC even did a documentary about it years and years ago. Whether they found anything, I've not actually seen the documentary, but that's what I'm told.
Yeah.
But, no, fantastic old place, and apparently we got some questionable things there when we were there. Did a fantastic estate. They've got like a red room, which is a wonderfully atmospheric room. God, it's unbelievable. It really is. It's quite a decent sized room, and you all sit around this big table, and there's a big mannequin in the corner, like a tailor's. Hasn't got a head, but you know the old wooden tailor's dummies kind of thing. It's like a stalk where its head would have been kind of thing. Yeah. So it's dressed in this this period costume, which just sets the atmosphere, and the whole house is decked out in proper period stuff. So it really you can smell the beams when you walk in as well. It's you get that smell because you've been there to Moot Hall.
Yeah.
You walk into Moot Hall and you can smell the oak beams.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm back. It's not that big though, is it? Old Graiseley Hall.
It's not that big, and one half of the house, the owners still live there. The other half of the house is up for investigations, functions, whatever it might be, whatever you might want to do there. But apparently as well, we have heard on occasion that there's actually, because there's a couple of rooms upstairs, and you mainly get the full room of the house. But the second time I went there was actually one of the rooms was actually rented. So it kind of puts and they were there when we were there. So
that takes away some of your possible evidence.
It does.
Unfortunately, they should kick them out when you're in there. When they hire it out, they should kick people out.
I've never been to the Four Crosses at
Cannock,
and apparently did they used to do that to the people that used to live there?
I don't know. I've never been there. I've heard it's quite good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, people go there quite a lot from what I've seen online.
Yeah.
But
no.
I see recently a video come out that you were at Houghton House.
Yes.
In Ampthill.
Yep.
How did you find that?
I've been there quite a few times, to be fair.
Okay.
If you look back in my video history, I've been there quite a few. That will have been my. Well, I haven't videoed it every single time, but I've probably been there about 6 or 7 times, to be fair. I've brought 3 videos from there, or two that are actually on there. I've got one in the can where they went there last with Beardo, Nick from Walking the Weird, and the Dorset Paranormal Investigators.
Yeah, that's the one I watched the other day, and I thought, it's a great. For me, I've been there a few times. Great location. It's not far from me.
Yeah,
and when you enter the front, the front archway, and you've got the steps to the right that go down.
Yeah.
If you go outside in that big, massive courtyard bit on the right, that little bit in the corner, I was there maybe 2013, and we had an old spirit box like that Radio Shack hack ones.
Yeah.
And we were asking, do you mean us harm? Like we were talking to and fro for a while, and one of the questions was, do you mean us harm? And then within like a couple of seconds, it come through, kill the sea.
No way.
Clear as day. It's on my YouTube channel. It is so clear.
Brilliant.
And it's like, oh my God. And like you say, you don't get that on radio stations. You don't get that, it's like, wow. We have captured some good stuff at that location. And the fact it's open, obviously it's a bit windy certain times of the year.
Yeah.
So some of your evidence is a bit... it ruins it sometimes, but it is such a good... I mean, the history, it's crazy.
The history's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's obviously got its fantastic ghosts, legends there as well. The lady at the house, whose name escapes me, and there's meant to be a little girl that appears in the main doorway. Is it somebody on horseback? Is it a knight on horseback?
On the driveway down, isn't it? You hear the footsteps on the gravel.
Yeah. When I first went there, I mean, my first video there, when I went there by myself.
He's brave.
I know. Stupid as well, to be fair, when you think about it. Because if you'd fallen down anywhere, you'd have been knackered.
No one's coming to look for you.
Nah, they're not. The only thing you could hope is if there's that house that's next door kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's the one solitary house, which I think they look after the stables.
Yeah, I think there's some sort of farm buildings there, isn't there? Yeah.
If you shout loud enough, you might alert them in there. But that's about it. But no, it was exceptionally foggy. Honestly, it was like a bloody pea soup, or it really was.
Yeah.
You could barely see your hand in front of your face. But when I'm there, on the side where the columns are.
Yes, they're awesome. There, I love them.
I think that's some kind of garden room. Like you've got the doorway that comes from the house, and then you walk out into that little courtyard bit, and you've got the columns there, and then you've got the garden or the lawn area straight in front of you. That must have been a garden room of some kind. But yeah, that bit there, and I'm there on the first time I was there. I've got the I think I've got the Spirit Talk app out or something like that. And in the background, I can hear, and it was eerie as hell. I can hear what sounded like gravel, walking on gravel, but all it really was in the end, and I'm sure it was this. I'm pretty sure it wasn't walking gravel, unfortunately, but it was the horses in the field chewing the grass.
Oh, okay.
You get that really crunching sound when they're when they're grinding the teeth together. And I believe that's what it was, because I did notice the horses were in the field when I was coming down there whilst it was still light.
Okay.
It was an exceptionally still night, hence the fog was there. But very atmospheric place in the fog, very atmospheric. And I did have something quite strange in the back, and I never caught it on camera. Although you see my reaction on camera, but you never see, because I had the camera facing the wrong way, so you could think, well, he might be talking out his arse here. But it was, people that know me, I'm not like, I don't bull. So it genuinely happened. Now, when I was it was the back of the building on the steps, or just down from the steps. And I'm just kind of panning the camera around. The camera's facing me. And obviously I've got the lights on top of the camera, and when I'm yabbering away, and I'm panning the camera around. As I'm panning the camera around, a shadow behind the camera goes as I'm going this way, the shadow comes that way behind the camera, reflected on the fog. It was the weirdest thing, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it there now. But it was the weirdest thing. I mean, whether it was actually a mirror opposite of as my camera's passing and the light's passing me, maybe it was my own shadow reflected on the fog.
Possibly.
It possibly been, I don't know, but it was definitely a shadow passed by the other side of the camera, and I freaked when I said like, oh, what the fuck was that kind of thing? Or,
Yeah.
really, like, it got me heart going. I didn't hang around much longer after that.
I'm not surprised. The fact you're on your own, I'd have run. So if you've been to Houghton House and Cold Christmas, you must have been to Clophill.
I have not. I have been to Clophill, but not like you've been when you were with UK Haunted.
You've never been? Oh wow, you
I've
missed out.
I've not
back
been to
in the
investigate
day.
the place. Yeah.
Yeah, because they've changed it now. They've done it up. They've put eco lodges for like ramblers to stay overnight, and they've got sensors there, and it's all posh. To be fair, for a creepy location, I preferred it when it was full of graffiti, and it was just old. It had the stories. You probably know about all the folklore and that, and the people that used to desecrate and dig up the skeletons from the graves, grave robbing, to do rituals and that there. It was definitely a very dark place back in the day. And it's like when you go to the ancient Ram Inn for the first time, like back in the day anyway, and you start, oh my God, like you hear the stories and you're on edge sort of thing before you get there. Because, for a start, you're not supposed to be at Clophill.
Yeah, you're not.
Because back in them days, they used to have the police doing patrols. One night we actually had a police turn up, and it was just two of us there, and we had the dog warden there, like the police dog, and he stayed there for ages telling us stories about UFOs, about black shadows walking across in front of his car, and he just let us get on with it. He was a great bloke, but
nice.
Yeah, like I say, I can see your attraction to the stories, because they're the things that keep people wanting more. Keep going to these locations. Yeah, because they drive us towards them.
Yeah, definitely.
And I imagine that's why your podcast. You do that all the time. Is it a regular?
I don't. No, I don't. I'm not really. I just do things willy-nilly, to be fair.
Yeah. It's difficult. I imagine there's a lot of research and takes a lot of time to get these stories.
I've got a full-time job. I do a lot of commuting into London. I'm out the house. And I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I'm not getting back in the house till like nearly 6 o'clock most nights. I've got a family. I've got Mrs. Kid's dog. So it's like they've all got to come before. Well, my missus will say, well, it doesn't come before her.
I always say that.
Yeah, but no, it does to a degree. It does, and it has to be fair. You have to just and I'm not as active investigating as I used to be, purely because I just haven't actually got the time. I haven't got the time. Probably haven't got the money to actually go to these places. A lot of the places I used to go to a couple of years ago, were all just kind of like small change or free, even like ruins and stuff like that. I used to go to.
Yeah.
But once you've done them all a few times, you want to go to somewhere else. Now, I'm not saying I'm a strong believer in if you want to go to a place, you need to go to that place 10, 20, 30 times to where you deem it for yourself or for your own purpose anyway, whether you deem it paranormal or not paranormal, haunted or not haunted. It's like I keep going back to the likes of Steve and Griff. They must have gone to where, and when Paranormal Truth were around, Justin and Dale, they must have done East Drive 40, 50 times, and probably got some questionable activity there 3 or 4 of those times.
Yeah, I listened to Justin's Paranormal Monkey podcast the other week, and he mentioned East Drive, and he said he went there so many times, so many hours, days, weeks. Didn't believe in it at all, and then one night something happened where he heard footsteps running and banging above him, and there was no one there. There was only a few of them downstairs, and so, like you say, you need to put the time in, but obviously that costs money. Time away from family and all that. So it is difficult, but like you say, it is to clarify if you believe something is haunted or not haunted. You have to put the effort and put the time in.
Definitely,
unfortunately.
100%.
It's not always possible, but
I am going to go back to East Drive. I've already booked 2 nights at East Drive next year.
Okay.
I put my deposit down, and I'm going to try and do. I'm going to try and do 1 night by myself.
Ooh, he's braver
I
than
know.
me.
I'm really not looking forward to it, to be fair. But I feel like, I feel it because ever since I watched again, I go back to Steve and Griff. Ever since I watched Steve's 48 hours alone at East Drive, how he did that, I'll never know. And he even got some very questionable possible paranormal activity when he was there as well. I mean, Christ, I don't know how he did it. I really don't. But that's by the by. What I intend to do, actually, I'll do 1 night there by myself, and then the second night I've invited Diane and Justin to come up because they were there that time. Both of them were there that time when that activity happened.
Yeah.
That Justin was talking about, where you got that stomping coming across the ceiling, the light, the lampshades underneath shaking. It was that heavy footsteps. Unbelievable, really, unbelievable. Yeah, I'd really love to capture something there. It would be. I have a couple of favourite places where I think the possibility of capturing something would be good. And East Drive is a lot of people think it's an absolute load of bollocks, isn't it? This thing East Drive's just like a big cash cow, which I'm sure it's a very, very good. My glasses are a bit wonky. It's probably a very, very good earner for the owner, who's also the film director as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
Bill.
At the same time, though, it's about £300 for a midweek. So a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, it's £300. Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, it's £400. And now I've inquired of a few other places that. So Nottingham law courts, that costs an absolute fortune to go there.
What, the gallows of justice?
Yeah, and you need public liability as well.
Wow.
That costs over £1,000. That was about 1,400 when I inquired about it. I mean,
the prices people charge. I tried to get into Shrewsbury Prison.
Yeah.
£3,500.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to film it. So wow, I'm not going there.
No, it really does. The people that just want to actually do it, fair play to business to them. If people want to pay that, and obviously big companies want to pay that, then so be it.
Yeah,
it really does. Then the only thing that the likes of you and I have got to do if we want to go there is to actually hook in with a big events company, and I don't like to do that. No, offense to the events companies. But it's not really my thing to go there unless I've actually got an area to myself, or a small group of trusted people that you're there with. But you could get lumped in with anyone, and
it's difficult public events. Too many people that don't really know what's happening a lot of the time.
Yeah.
They see people on telly going, "Oh, that looks good. I'll go on that." Yeah. Unfortunately. But what's your favourite location you've been to then?
I've got a couple of handful of places that I really enjoy, and I'd quite happily go back there again and again and again. Woodchester Mansion is now one of those. I would love to go back there again, and Corinne from the Jamaica Inn Paranormal team, if you're watching, please organise that again. She's a wonderful lady. She calls herself a meddler in the paranormal world, but she is very, very good at meddling. That's for sure.
Yeah, Karen's lovely.
She's a fantastic lady.
Yeah.
So I love that place. You might have seen one of my videos a couple of times at the Hill House in Ross-on-Wye, which is basically just like a rambler's retreat. But there's some odd activity there. And I've heard countless, even Corinne's even mentioned odd things that she's had there as well. And again, there's folklore that surrounds the place. I looked at I even got Mike as well to look into the history, or the land history of the Hill House.
Yeah.
It wasn't actually called the Hill House forever. It was called something else way back when. But there's no mention of battles or anything really. It's just a calm place. There's no history of like violent history of any kind around the place at all, which is just phenomenal, really. But that place is just there's got a vibe to it, and I really like it. And I've captured a couple of odd things there myself that have made me think, could that have been real? Could that have been paranormal?
Do you ever question? Like, obviously, it's good to question paranormal activity. Do you ever question yourself, even if you think, I definitely heard that, definitely saw that? Do you ever think, did I though? Was I in the right frame of mind, or do you think, like, you believer, skeptic? Where's your level?
I sit in the fence with a lot of things. I used to be like a full-on believer when I first started.
Yeah.
My paranormal journey, if you want to believe it, right at the beginning, called Christmas Church, full-on believer. Believed wherever I would go, I'd see things flying out of everywhere. And now I've got to this, like, nearly 4 years later. I think it'll be like 4 years in end of August, which I'll have been doing this.
Yeah.
And I am pretty much a full-on skeptic now. Skeptical believer.
Believer, yeah.
I do believe in there is like something unexplainable with the paranormal world. But I think it's so few and far between that you'd be very, very lucky to capture anything that I'd like to call solid paranormal evidence.
I think it's all the years I've been doing this, I've never really captured anything on camera. Captured voices, audio quite often, but the camera, like, do you reckon that obviously our eyes can potentially see spirits, movements, shadow figures, whatever? Do you think that cameras that we use are not capable of capturing this sort of the being or whatever it is? Because back in the old days, you had the photos, the still photos that people would take on cameras. There was no Photoshop, CGI, anything like that. Like, you're talking 50, 60 years ago. Some of the famous photos of spirits or potential spirits. So what do you reckon about the equipment that we use to capture? Is that one of the reasons why we can't capture it?
I think one of the reasons is that you can't capture anything on film that I'd like to call. I mean, let's say, for argument's sake, if you and I went out to Horton House, caught a fantastic shadow figure on camera, we both saw it, it's on the video, and it's there in black and white. If we edit that video, get it out on YouTube, people wouldn't believe us anyway.
No, they wouldn't. Never going to happen.
No. So, but you've got to know for yourself. If you can know yourself, then it's all well and good. Do cameras capture paranormal evidence? I'm not too sure. I mainly just take my camera so I can actually make a video, if I'm being honest. Obviously, with the hope of actually capturing something on camera. I've caught voice phenomena on my camera when I've been videoing before. And I've never actually caught any kind of like spirit movement, shadow figures, apparitions, whatever you want to call that. I've never caught that. I mean, if I'd caught an apparition on on camera, I probably wouldn't be sitting here now, to be fair. I might have made millions.
Is how you went to Parameet Midlands, I believe. How was that? I went to the south one. I couldn't get to the Midlands.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I went to Parameet Midlands last year, and all that was good. This one was this week. I went for the whole weekend, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What I found best, obviously, listening to all the speakers and their stories, all different styles of how they investigate, the stories they tell, what they believe within the paranormal. It's amazing, and it was so nice to also to meet the people that I've known on social media for such a long time.
Yeah,
I've never met them, and it was so nice. I met so many people there that weekend, and it was refreshing.
Yeah,
I keep using that word, refreshing, but I think it needs to be said more because it's good, it's positive,
Yeah.
How do you think that that's a good thing for these sort of conventions, parameets, to spread positivity within the community?
100%. And Neil, who organised Parameet, I mean, they've got the last one, which is I think is in October this year, up at Pontefract. believe it or not,
Yeah.
the northern one. So yeah, I'm going to try and get to that one. I'm not too sure if I will.
I'm going to that, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I think I'm going
I
to make the journey.
I've actually already got a ticket for it, but
Oh,
something
okay.
else has come up, and I'm not too sure if I can afford both things.
Okay.
If I can, I'll be there. But no, I'd definitely love to go to the north one, because I mean it's only like about another hour or so, and I can get to be mum's in Durham.
Okay. Step by for a copper.
Yeah.
So when you go out and you do your investigating, when you do anyway, do you have like a ritual, like a pre-investigation ritual, or do you just get in your car?
Normally, it depends on the location. To be fair,
Yeah.
like so, for argument's sake, going to the Hill House in
Yeah.
Ross and Y, you just rock up there and meet everybody there at a certain time.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know the owner of the house is actually there as well with these two massive dogs, so I know him well enough to actually just walk in there now and say, "All right, Duncan, how you doing?" And it's all good. And then we just have a bit of a chin wag, and then other people show up. So yeah, it's all good though. But the likes of like another place, like where we went to Horton House with Beardo, DPI, and Nick from Walking the Weed. We met first at Clop Hill first. So we met Dale, Beardo Dale picked me up from my house because I was having car trouble first. So he picked me up from my house. We drove up to Clop Hill. The other DPI and Nick were coming up together in the same car. So we went to Clop Hill first, showed Beardo around there. We actually got up into the tower because they were setting up for like some kind of like ceremony, and the people who run the place were actually there. He said we just talked about like what we do kind of thing. And he was like that kind of thing at first, like because they obviously try to keep the paranormal investigators away from the place.
Yeah, they don't like
for,
us.
for obvious reasons. And it's always we explained them we are like the honest side of like the paranormal thing. We don't like explore the history of the place. We explore the folklore of the place.
Yeah.
So he said, "Oh, fantastic." And then we talked a bit more about it. He says. He says he's looking at his watch and he says the ceremony's not for like another. Do you want to look up in the tower? I says, yeah, we do. So me and Beardo went up there with him and had a look out at the top of the tower, and that's where that Facebook photograph is taken from.
Wow.
Me and him at the top of the Clop Hill Tower. So when we came back down, we said thank you, goodbye. We went back down the track. And got about halfway down the track, and the other guys were coming the other way. Just said, "You never know what's just happened."
You missed it.
they were gutted because by the time we'd actually gone back up to see if we could go and repeat the process to be a bit cheeky, they'd already started the ceremony, so we couldn't do anything. So we went to the pub anyway. We went to I can't remember the name of the pub there now, but it was in Amtill. Went to the pub. Excuse me. Went to the pub there and. Had a pint and a good meal and a good chin wag. But that's what I like to do first, if we can.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll go to the pub and we'll have a chin wag and a pint, and then we'll see what happens after that. Make a plan whilst we're there, because it's difficult sometimes when you're actually looking on get a messenger group together or a WhatsApp group. I always like to chat face to face really more than anything else. Almost like you and I are doing now, kind of thing. But whether it be over a screen or over a table with a pint is. Well, over a table with a pint's probably better.
That'd be better,
yeah. Now that's normally it, and then we just go up there and just do what you need to do, really. Yeah.
So, were you ever like haunted when you were a child? Did you ever see anything under your bed?
No, never. My interest was sparked probably by watching films, kind of thing. The likes of Ghostbusters, obviously. I mean, I don't know. I'm 52. I don't know how old you are, Mickey.
45.
45. So, were you around when did you go and see the Ghostbusters, the first film? Were you old enough to go and see it?
No, I missed that. I watched it on telly.
I can't even remember how old I was when my dad took us to the cinema to go and see it, and it kind of it sparked my interest from there, really. But that and watching I've always liked the creepy kind of like macabre stuff, the darker kind of stuff. I remember there was a program called a kids program called Spine Chillers. It was just like a story, like a spooky story time, like a bit like Spooky Jack and Ori.
Okay.
When we were growing up as kids, and I loved my mates. My brother had a mate whose brother who was quite a bit older than us, but he had like the Hamlin Book of Horror and the Hamlin Book of Ghosts.
Yeah.
And I used to love reading all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've always been that kind of like fantasy kind of wizards and witches, that kind of stuff. I've always loved that kind of stuff, and for me to get into that kind of area was fantastic.
So why do you think it took? Obviously, I don't know when you're sort of talking about. Obviously, you like these stories with the films, the books, and that. So what was the reason it took you so long? So you've only been doing this 4 years now. Yeah. So what was the reason for the large gap, or was it just personal circumstances?
Probably just thinking like obviously because we all grew up as well, and I'm sure you did, watching Most Haunted.
That's what got me into it. I'd never seen a ghost until I started doing this sort of stuff.
You never saw a ghost until you started watching Most Haunted.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Things flying everywhere in that goddamn place.
Pebbles.
Oh, God. Pebbles.
Knives.
Chairs.
Rope.
Yes. Oh, God bless them. I'd still watch one. Even if they brought one out now, I'd still watch it.
Yeah, it's just interesting.
It's just good entertainment, though, isn't it? Some people believe it, and obviously those that are probably in the know probably disbelieve it entirely, but still watch it anyway because for nostalgia reasons. But watching Most Haunted was probably what got me into it as well. But then it's just one of those things where I just didn't really bother thinking, can I do that? It was only it's only since I started watching folks on YouTube do their own paranormal investigations. I thought to myself, well, if they can do it, maybe I can do it as well. But how the hell do I go about doing that? And how the hell do I even get about making a video? Because that's essentially what I wanted to do. I wanted to document the evidence of actually going to these places, and again, hoping to capture something, but mainly just to actually document me and Steve, who was also in my. I don't really have a team per se, although Steve has actually been there since for a lot of the time, to be fair, and God bless him. He's a fantastic bloke, and he doesn't come out with me 100% of the time, but we always have a good time when he comes out. He's a great bloke, and he is always welcome at on our investigations, mate, always. But see, I've lost myself now. What was I talking about? It was just actually watching YouTube guys and then getting out and doing it. I'm thinking, well, can I actually get out there and do that? And well, obviously, I can now say yes, I did end up doing that, and I'd like to think every investigation has been done to hopefully the best of my ability. Look at this
ghost cat. Oh,
peeping through the curtains. Hello, Jerry.
Hello.
It'll be next.
So I got a couple of questions left before we finish. So, bucket list location to investigate anywhere in the world. I'm going to take you there now for however long you want to go there. Where are we going?
God Almighty! You could have told me that before you actually you were going to answer that kind of question. God's sakes! I'm going to have to go somewhere in London, somewhere in the UK. And it's probably either going to be a toss-up between the Tower of London or the Edinburgh Vaults.
Edinburgh Vaults are done in the daytime, never done nighttime.
Yeah, I don't think they allow it at nighttime, do they?
I think you have to go on their tours. They do night. They got their own paranormal team, I think, that go down there.
Yeah.
But Tower of London, that's quite common for a lot of people because obviously you can't go there. You can't even take a photo in there.
No.
I got shouted at once for taking a photo because there was some of the crown jewels or whatever in there. You're not allowed to take photos of it. And there was a guard watching and she made me delete it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, calm down.
Wow.
Yeah, just because I had to buy a postcard instead.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. You can't film or anything like that.
It's a money-making thing at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately. But, And my last question for you, sir, tonight. If you could get rid of one thing in the paranormal, so it's gone forever, what would it be? Another tricky question, do apologise.
Well, as I was watching, I was going to say ginger cats, but
Ah, you bully.
No, I would say, I'll probably say egos, to be fair. And I'm not just saying that because I heard Don't Scare Claire say it the other night on the Parallel Activities podcast. But no, it's a very, very valid thing that she said that. But yeah, I think egos tend to spoil things a lot. I don't know, obviously everybody has their own narrative of how they want to play a certain investigation, how they want to project themselves, which is all well and good. I don't hold that against anyone at all.
No.
But no, I think if you just drop the egos, would be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. That does ruin a lot of people's experiences within the community.
Yeah,
and that would be a great one if we could finally get rid of people like that.
Never got that one, but never mind.
No, definitely not. Never. But so, Mark, if you would like to let people know how they can get in touch with you on social media.
You can get me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All pretty much versions of Dead Cold or Dead Cold Paranormal. You can get me on my YouTube channel, which is Dead Cold, and there's also Dead Cold Tales as well on Spotify, Buzzsprout, and various other podcasting platforms, which I am going to try and add to this year. To be fair, I'm well overdue for telling a story.
Brilliant! Thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Mickey, thank you very
it's
much.
been I'm finally so happy we've managed to have this chat, because I've been watching you for a while and I'm like, brilliant. So cheers, Mark.
Many thanks indeed, mate. Many thanks.
Cheers, mate. So there we go, people. Wow, finally got hold of Dead Cold on my podcast. Woo! So yeah, big shout out to Mark. Go follow him on all his socials. Make sure you follow me as well, because it's my show. So subscribe to this YouTube channel. You guys are smashing it at the moment. Every episode's getting better views, more interaction, which is what it's all about. It's all about community, being positive and talking with each other. Make sure you follow the Instagram page. And I'll see you next week with another awesome guest. See you later, guys.